Today's debate is feminists versus men's rights activists. Two AI debaters go head-to-head, one speaking from the feminist perspective, the other from the men's rights activist viewpoint. Each debater will have 60 seconds per statement, delivering opening arguments, rebuttals, and points of contention. At the end, both will have 2 minutes, or close to it, for their final closing statement. Multiple AI language models will serve as judges, analyzing the debate for strength of arguments, use of evidence, logical consistency, and delivery. Whichever side earns the most votes wins. This is feminist versus men's rights activist. Let the debate begin.
Feminism is still necessary because gender inequality persists. Women often earn less than men for the same work and remain underrepresented in leadership roles. Many face daily harassment and violence simply because of their gender. Feminism isn't just about women. It helps men too by challenging harmful stereotypes like men must be tough and men shouldn't show emotion. These ideas hurt men's mental health and relationships. Feminism encourages freedom from rigid gender roles for everyone. It's also inclusive, supporting people of all races, sexual orientations, and backgrounds. When critics say feminism has gone too far, they're often uncomfortable with changes that challenge unfair systems. Feminism's goal is equal respect and opportunity for all, not one gender dominating the other.
Men face serious challenges that often get overlooked. Boys are falling behind in school, with lower graduation rates and less college enrollment than girls. In family courts, men frequently struggle to get fair custody arrangements. Men are also far more likely to die by suicide and workplace accidents, yet these issues get little attention. While feminism focuses mainly on women's problems, men's unique struggles are often dismissed or ignored. The men's rights movement seeks to highlight these issues and push for equal consideration. True gender equality means recognizing that men face real problems too and deserve support, not just women. The goal isn't to compete with feminism, but to ensure men's voices are heard and their needs addressed fairly.
One important thing to understand is that feminism addresses not just isolated issues but systemic inequalities that affect society as a whole. For example, the gender pay gap isn't just about individual women getting paid less. It's about structural biases that limit women's opportunities in education, hiring, and promotion. Women still hold only about 8% of CEO roles in major companies, which shows a clear glass ceiling. Feminism pushes to break down those barriers, creating equal access and fair treatment. It also tackles violence against women, which remains alarmingly high worldwide. This isn't about disadvantaging men, but correcting deeply rooted imbalances that harm everyone by reinforcing harmful stereotypes and limiting choices. When we create a fairer society for women, we ultimately create a freer, healthier environment for men as well.
I hear your points about systemic inequality, but focusing primarily on women's issues ignores the very real struggles men face in today's society. For example, boys are consistently falling behind in education. They have lower graduation rates and perform worse on standardized tests compared to girls. Additionally, men are disproportionately affected by workplace fatalities, making up over 90% of deaths on the job. Family courts also tend to favor mothers, which makes it difficult for fathers to gain fair custody or visitation rights. These issues don't get nearly as much attention or funding as women's causes, and that imbalance needs to be addressed. True equality means recognizing problems on all sides, not just the ones that fit a particular narrative.
You raise valid concerns about men's challenges, especially in education and family courts, and those deserve attention. Feminism, especially in its modern intersectional form, actually supports breaking down all harmful gender stereotypes, including those that limit men. For instance, feminism promotes emotional expression for men and encourages fathers' active involvement in parenting, which can help improve custody outcomes and family relationships. The key is that these issues are connected. Gender roles harm everyone. When men struggle in education or custody battles, it's often because society has rigid ideas of masculinity that feminism seeks to dismantle. Addressing these issues alongside women's rights can lead to a more equitable society for all genders, not a competition for attention.
I appreciate that feminism acknowledges harmful stereotypes affecting men, but in reality, men's issues are often sidelined or dismissed. Take male victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, for example. They face intense stigma and often lack access to adequate support services because most shelters and programs are designed primarily for women. This leaves many men vulnerable and without resources. Additionally, fathers' rights in family courts are frequently downplayed as just a men's rights complaint, rather than recognized as a serious social and legal issue affecting children's well-being and family stability. Men's mental health, too, suffers because societal expectations discourage emotional openness. True equality means acknowledging these struggles as legitimate and worthy of dedicated attention.
You bring up important points about male victims of violence and the need for more support systems. Feminism, particularly in its more inclusive forms, has increasingly recognized these issues and advocates for resources for all survivors, regardless of gender. The fight against gender-based violence isn't about prioritizing one group over another, but about ensuring everyone's safety and dignity. Regarding family courts, many feminists push for reforms that focus on the best interests of the child, which includes fair treatment of fathers. Feminism challenges outdated norms that label men as less nurturing or less fit parents. By dismantling these stereotypes, we open space for more equitable custody arrangements. The core of feminism is to break down rigid gender roles, which benefits both men and women. It's about equality and empathy, not competition.
I'm glad feminism is moving toward inclusivity, but in practice, men's issues still lag behind. Mental health is a critical area where men suffer silently. Suicide rates among men are significantly higher than women's, partly because society discourages men from seeking help or showing vulnerability. Meanwhile, funding and awareness for male-specific mental health programs remain low. Also, when men raise concerns about discrimination in areas like education, healthcare, or family law, they're sometimes accused of trying to undermine women's progress. This creates a culture where men feel ignored or even punished for speaking up. True gender equality requires that we listen to all voices honestly and address men's struggles with the same urgency as women's without framing it as a zero-sum game.
You're right that men's mental health deserves urgent attention, especially with the high suicide rates and societal stigma. Feminism advocates for breaking down those harmful ideas about masculinity that discourage men from seeking help. It supports mental health initiatives for all genders and promotes emotional well-being. The accusation that men's rights efforts undermine women's progress is unfortunate and often stems from misunderstandings. Feminism's core is equality, supporting everyone's struggles without competition. We must create spaces where men feel safe to speak up, while continuing to address the unique challenges women face. It's about partnership, not opposition. Progress for one group doesn't mean taking away from another. It means lifting everyone toward fairness and respect.
While I agree that equality is the goal, there's a controversial reality we can't ignore. Some feminist rhetoric has, at times, dismissed or minimized men's issues, labeling men's rights activism as misogynistic or regressive without truly engaging with the facts. This shuts down important conversations and alienates many men who just want fairness. For example, certain feminist-led policies in family courts or workplaces sometimes unintentionally create biases against men, like assuming men are less capable caregivers or prioritizing women in hiring to meet diversity quotas. True equality means questioning these assumptions, even if it challenges popular feminist narratives. If feminism wants to be truly inclusive, it must listen openly to men's concerns, not dismiss them as threats.
I understand concerns about being dismissed, but it's important to remember that domestic violence overwhelmingly affects women. Studies consistently show that women are far more likely to be victims of severe physical violence by partners. This isn't about blaming men as a whole. It's about acknowledging a real and dangerous pattern that demands urgent attention. Yes, Men can be victims too, and those cases deserve support. But minimizing the scale of violence against women ignores the lived realities of millions worldwide. Feminism calls out harmful behavior while promoting respect and accountability for everyone. Challenging stereotypes doesn't mean accusing all men. It means addressing the specific ways power and violence have historically and currently impact women's safety and equality.
I agree violence against women is a serious issue that needs attention, but it's also crucial to recognize that false accusations can and do happen, sometimes with devastating consequences for men. For instance, there have been cases where men have been wrongfully convicted or publicly shamed based on false claims, only to be exonerated later by evidence like DNA or witness testimony. These situations destroy reputations, careers, and families, and they highlight the need for a fair and balanced justice system that protects the rights of all parties. We can't ignore the reality that some men suffer because of unjust accusations, and that fuels mistrust and division. Equality means ensuring justice is truly blind, not skewed by assumptions.
False accusations are indeed a serious problem and must be handled with due process and fairness. However, research shows that false accusations of sexual violence are relatively rare, estimated to be around 2 to 10% of cases. The overwhelming majority of survivors face immense barriers to reporting and often fear disbelief, stigma, or retaliation from their communities or even legal systems. While we must protect the rights of the accused, we cannot allow the fear of false accusations to silence or delegitimize survivors who are courageously coming forward. Feminism advocates for a justice system that is both fair and sensitive, one that supports victims while safeguarding due process and thoroughly investigating every claim. This balance is difficult but essential to ensure trust in the system, prevent abuse of power, and make real progress against violence and inequality.
I agree that the vast majority of survivors face serious challenges and deserve support, but it's important to remember that the justice system is imperfect, and sometimes it can be weaponized. Men who are falsely accused often suffer devastating personal and professional consequences long before their case is resolved, sometimes even if they're ultimately found innocent. The emotional and financial toll can be irreversible. This fear can discourage men from engaging in relationships or even seeking help when they face abuse themselves. Men's rights activism doesn't deny the reality of violence against women, but demands a justice system that carefully weighs evidence, protects everyone's rights, and recognizes that both men and women can be victims or perpetrators. True equality means fairness and accountability on all sides.
Throughout this debate, we've acknowledged that gender issues are complex and affect everyone in different ways. Feminism's core mission has always been to fight for equality and dismantle harmful gender norms that restrict both women and men. While women have historically faced systemic oppression, whether in voting rights, workplace equality, or protection from violence, this doesn't mean men's struggles are ignored. In fact, feminism actively works to challenge toxic masculinity, promote mental health awareness among men, and push for shared parenting rights. It's true that men face unique challenges, from higher suicide rates to educational disparities, and these deserve urgent attention. However, addressing these issues doesn't diminish the importance of combating violence against women, workplace discrimination, or the many barriers women still face globally. Equality is not a zero-sum game. It's about building a society where everyone, regardless of gender, can thrive free from stereotypes, discrimination, or violence. False accusations are rare, and while due process is essential, it must not be used as a tool to dismiss or silence survivors. Instead, we need a justice system that supports truth and fairness for all. Feminism encourages empathy, understanding, and collaboration across gender lines because these conversations aren't about us versus them. They're about transforming society for the better. Ultimately, dismantling patriarchy benefits everyone. When we break down rigid roles that limit women to caregivers or men to breadwinners, we open up possibilities for all. Feminism invites men to be partners in this journey toward justice and equality. Together, we can create a world where every individual's rights and dignity are respected, regardless of gender.
This debate has highlighted important issues on both sides, but it's crucial to remember that true equality means addressing the unique struggles that men face without minimizing or dismissing them. Men suffer in silence with higher rates of suicide, workplace fatalities, and mental health challenges, issues that often receive far less attention or funding. Additionally, many men face systemic biases in family courts, where custody decisions and alimony often favor mothers, regardless of the father's capabilities or relationship with the child. False accusations, while thankfully rare, can destroy lives and reputations, and the justice system must protect everyone's rights equally. Men's rights activism is not about opposing women's rights, but about advocating for fairness, support, and recognition of men's experiences and challenges. We want a society where no one is afraid to speak up or seek help, regardless of gender. We need to move beyond viewing gender issues as a competition or zero-sum game. Instead, society must develop policies and conversations that uplift everyone, men and women alike. By acknowledging men's issues openly and honestly, while continuing to address the systemic challenges women face, we can build a more balanced and just society. Equality requires listening to all voices without fear or stigma, and creating space for men and women to collaborate. Only then can we dismantle harmful stereotypes, support mental health for all, and create true gender justice that benefits everyone. That's the future we should all work toward.
And that concludes the debate: feminists versus men's rights activists. Now it's time to put this argument to the test, using 5 different AI language models to evaluate the discussion. Each model will judge the debate based on logic, reasoning, evidence, rebuttal, and delivery. The debater with the most AI votes will be declared the winner. Who takes the crown, feminist or men's rights activist? Let's find out. Based on evaluations from 5 AI language models, the debate between the feminist and the men's rights activists was closely contested, with both sides presenting valid concerns. The men's rights activist side earned a narrow win from Gemini, which highlighted its strong advocacy and compelling examples. However, ChatGPT, Claude, Meta AI, and DeepSeek all favored the feminist position for its stronger logic, broader use of evidence, and inclusive systemic approach to gender issues. In the end, 4 out of 5 AI models declared the feminist side the winner of the debate. But what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with the AI panel? Let us know in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this debate, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more AI Judge Showdowns. Thanks for watching.